I was looking at my phone this morning, specifically at my passcode screen, and it got me thinking, we all have things we hide.
Sure.
I mean, I don't share my email password with my partner. I definitely don't tell my friend that his new haircut is a total disaster.
Right, that feels like normal privacy. It feels healthy.
It does. But then I started reading through the stack of research you brought today, and it suggests that maybe I'm being a little naive about what secrecy actually does.
Naive how?
Well, the sources, they make this pretty terrifying distinction. They argue there's a line where privacy stops being about healthy boundaries and starts being a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, a lot of us are crossing that line without even realizing the damage we're doing. We treat secrets like these passive things, like a box in the closet, but this research says they are active agents in our relationships.
That is exactly the tension we're exploring today. It's so easy to think of a secret as just hidden information. If I don't tell you something, well, nothing happened, right? It's a non-event. But the psychological and sociological research we're diving into argues that in a relationship, secrecy is actually an active mechanism of control.
Wow.
It's not about what you're hiding. It's about how that silence engineers a false reality for the other person to live in.
Engineers a false reality. That is a heavy phrase. I mean, it sounds like science fiction, but the sources imply it's happening at dinner tables everywhere.
It is. And our mission today is to figure out that difference. We're going to look at what's called the anatomy of harm. 5 specific ways secrecy is used to destabilize and injure people.
Oh, okay.
But then, and this is the part of the research that honestly threw me for a loop, we're going to pivot to a surprising counterargument from the field of narrative architecture.
Right, because the sources throw us this massive curveball. They claim that while secrecy can destroy relationships, hidden meaning is actually essential for human culture and growth.
Yeah, exactly.
So we have to reconcile those two things. When is silence a weapon, and when is it? What did they call it? Scaffolding.
Developmental scaffolding, exactly. But before we get to the healthy stuff, we have to understand the damage. We need a grounded theory of harm.
Okay, let's dive into the dark side first. The sources outline 5 mechanisms. The first one is control through information imbalance. This sounds like something out of a corporate espionage manual, but I have a feeling it's much more domestic.
It is intensely domestic, and it goes right back to that idea of agency. Your ability to make choices, your agency, it relies entirely on having an accurate map of the world.
Okay.
So if I know a crucial fact that affects our shared life, and I withhold it, I'm essentially drawing fake roads on your map.
Give me a concrete example. How does this look, in a regular Tuesday night relationship?
Okay, so say I'm your partner.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm secretly in massive debt, or maybe I've already accepted a job in another state but just haven't told you yet.
Right.
Meanwhile, you're out there booking a summer vacation for us
Mm-hmm.
or looking at houses in our current neighborhood. You think you're making free choices. You think you are building a future.
But I'm not. I'm building a fantasy.
Exactly. You are acting on bad data. The harm isn't just that I lied. It's the theft of your agency. You're calculating your life based on a variable that is effectively 0, but I'm letting you believe it's a 10.
The sources call this reality distortion.
Yes. You're playing a game where the rules have been changed without your consent.
That's such a crucial distinction. It's not just, I didn't tell you. It's, I allowed you to invest time, emotion, and money into a world that doesn't exist.
And that creates an imbalance. I hold the power because I know the real state of play. You are disempowered because you are reacting to a phantom.
Which leads right into the second mechanism, which feels even more insidious. Emotional destabilization. We usually call this gaslighting, right?
We do, but the research gets very specific about how it works mechanically. It's not just lying, it's about breaking your sensors.
What do you mean by sensors?
It's about denying context. Humans are incredibly intuitive creatures.
Yeah.
If I'm harboring a deep resentment toward you, or if I'm hiding an affair, even just a secret alliance with a family member against you, you will likely feel it.
Right, the vibe is off. You feel it in your gut.
But when you ask me, is something wrong, you seem distant. I use the secret to deny your perception. I say, no, you're crazy. Everything is fine. You're imagining things.
And that's where the damage happens. It's not the secret itself. It's that to believe you, I have to stop believing myself.
Precisely. You stop evaluating the relationship like, is this person treating me well? And you start evaluating your own sanity. Is my brain working right? Am I paranoid?
That erosion of self-trust is the destabilization.
It is. The sources argue this is psychologically corrosive because it breaks your internal compass.
That is brutal. Okay, mechanism number 3. This one really stood out to me because I think everyone listening has experienced this maybe at work or with a frenemy. They call it weaponized ambiguity.
Ah, yes. The safe channel for hostility.
This is the person who insults you, but does it in a way that if you wrote it down in a court transcript, it would look completely innocent.
Exactly. It relies on the gap between the literal meaning of words and the structural meaning. So let's say you make a decision, and I say, with a very specific pause and pitch, "Wow, that was a brave choice."
Oh, I can hear the sarcasm dripping off that. That is not a compliment.
But look at the defense mechanism. If you get upset and call me out on it, "Why are you calling me stupid?" I can retreat to the dictionary definition.
Right.
I didn't say stupid, I said brave. Brave is a compliment. You're just reading into things again.
You're too sensitive.
Exactly. The insight here is that the harm lives in the structure, the timing, the tone, the context. The aggressor maintains plausible deniability while inflicting specific emotional damage.
So it's a way to be hostile without ever being accountable.
It makes you feel like you're boxing a ghost.
Yeah.
You can't hit back because technically they didn't do anything.
That's why it's weaponized. It uses the ambiguity of language as a shield.
Let's move to number 4, social exclusion.
This one talks about the biology of belonging. I found this fascinating because we usually think of being left out of an inside joke as just rude.
Oh, it's much more than rude. The sources point out that for most of human evolutionary history, exclusion literally meant death.
If you were kicked out of the tribe, you didn't survive.
Right. So our bodies are wired to detect exclusion as a life threat.
So when people are whispering around you, your cortisol actually spikes.
Yes. When people use coded language or inside jokes that you aren't part of, or have conversations around you instead of with you, it triggers a deep biological threat response.
It marks you as an outsider.
The research calls this the belonging threat. It's using information access to define the hierarchy. We know and you don't.
And in a relationship or a family, that has to be devastating.
It creates a state of chronic stress because your body is constantly registering that you aren't safe in the pack.
And finally, number 5, which seems to kind of sum all of these up, betrayal of intimacy.
It is the capstone. Intimacy assumes a mutual orientation to truth. We assume that because we are close, we are both looking at the same world.
But when secrets manipulate that,
It breaks what they call relational grounding.
it creates hypervigilance, you become a detective in your own home.
You stop resting in the relationship and start scanning it. You're looking for the trap. You're looking for the lie. You can't be intimate with someone if you're constantly wondering if the floor is going to drop out from under you.
So if we stopped the deep dive right here, the takeaway would be pretty simple and pretty bleak.
Yeah. Secrets of the enemy. Transparency is the only moral path. Tell everyone everything.
Which sounds great on a bumper sticker, but it completely falls apart in real life. And this is where the sources pivot to something really nuanced.
It is. Because we look at human history, storytelling, parenting, even romance. We actually love hidden meanings.
This brings us to narrative architecture. I have to admit, when I first read this section, I was skeptical. How do we go from gaslighting is abuse to but myths are good?
It starts with a simple question. If hidden meaning is so destructive, why do we use it to teach children? Think about the Santa Claus story.
Okay, let's go there. I mean, technically, telling your kid about Santa is a lie. I am creating a false reality. I am gaslighting my child about where the presents come from.
According to our first section, yes, you are creating an information imbalance. You are distorting reality. But the sources ask us to look at the function and the intent of that distortion. They call it layered fluency.
Layered fluency.
To the child, the story is about magic, flying reindeer, and a behavior reward system.
Right. Be good or you get coal. It organizes their behavior.
It organizes their world in a way they can understand. But as the child grows up, that magic layer, it dissolves. They figure it out. And what is left underneath?
Well, they realize it's their parents. They see the effort, the money, the love that went into it.
The story resolves into a new truth, human care. And for some, it resolves even further into a spiritual truth about generosity or the joy of giving without taking credit.
I see. So the key insight here is that the story was never a lie in the malicious sense.
It was developmental scaffolding.
Scaffolding. That's a really useful image. You put the scaffolding up to hold the building while it's being built, and then you take it down when the structure can stand on its own.
Exactly. This is what the sources call developmental opacity. The truth isn't hidden to hurt you. It's hidden because you literally do not have the capacity to hold the full weight of it yet.
A 3-year-old cannot understand the abstract concept of altruistic parental sacrifice.
But they can understand Santa.
So the difference between the toxic secret and the healthy layer is it about the trajectory?
Intent and trajectory. Does the secret lead to an eventual revelation of a deeper truth? Or is it designed to keep you in the dark forever? Is it building you up or holding you down?
This connects to that historical analysis in the packet, right? These dense academic papers about ancient Hebrew texts. How does that fit in?
It's the same principle, just applied to a whole culture. The sources discuss how ancient traditions, specifically the Hebrew textual tradition, were often accused by outsiders of being secretive or mystical.
What are those codes? What are they whispering about?
Exactly. But internally, they didn't see it as hiding conspiracies. They saw themselves as practicing participatory interpretation.
Okay.
They treated language as having density homophones, symbolic structures, layers that you had to be trained to hear.
Wait, break down homophones for us quickly.
Words that sound the same but mean different things. In these traditions, that wasn't an accident. It was a feature. It allowed a text to say one thing to a novice and something much deeper to a master.
So to an outsider who only reads literally, it looks like a mess or a trick. But to an insider, it's a hyper-efficient way of communicating complex ideas.
Precisely. It's interpretive asymmetry. It's like an encrypted file. If you have the key, it's information. If you don't, it's noise. Healthy cultures build these layers to train people to think deeper.
Okay, so we have harmful secrecy, which is gaslighting, and we have healthy depth, which is scaffolding. But the part that really blew my mind, and I think this is the core theoretical contribution here, was the symbolic hypothesis about Cain and Abel.
I love this part. It's such a radical rereading of a very famous story.
Most of us know the basics. Cain and Abel are brothers. Cain kills Abel. It's the first murder. It's bad news.
Right. And usually we read it as a literal story about jealousy or sibling rivalry, but the sources suggest reading it as an allegory for how the human mind works.
How so?
They suggest viewing Abel not just as a victim, but as a symbol for the human capacity to perceive layered meaning.
So Abel is the part of our brain that understands poetry or nuance
Yeah.
or the Santa story.
Abel is interpretive capacity. He deals in the spirit of things. Now, contrast that with Cain. Cain is a farmer. He deals with the earth.
Okay.
The sources frame Cain as the force of literalism and control.
The guy who says, just give me the facts. Stop with the poetry. I want the data.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So structurally, when the story says Cain killed Abel,
It's symbolizing what happens when we let our literal brain murder our poetic brain.
that's the hypothesis. It represents a shift where a person or a society suppresses the ability to read between the lines. We kill the Abel in us. We displace participatory meaning with rigid, data-driven control.
And why does that matter for our topic of secrecy? This feels very abstract.
It matters because if you kill your inner Abel, you lose the ability to distinguish between the scaffolding and the weapon.
Oh, I see. If I'm purely literal, if I'm all Cain, then a surprise party looks exactly the same as a lie.
Yes, you lose the nuance. You can't tell the difference between a partner who is using a gentle metaphor to spare your feelings and a partner who is gaslighting you to cover an affair. You just see untruth.
You become paranoid because you've lost the ability to read the structure of the silence.
That's it. This implies that being able to understand healthy secrecy is actually a skill we have to practice. The sources call it structural fluency. If we lose that fluency, every secret looks like a threat.
So let's try to synthesize this for everyone listening. They're driving to work, they're thinking about their relationships. How do they use this? How do they know if they're in a Cain situation or an Abel situation?
We need a diagnostic tool. Let's call it the agency test.
The agency test. Walk me through it.
If you feel like something is being hidden from you, you have to ask yourself, does this person's silence eventually lead to my growth and understanding, or does it keep me in a permanent state of confusion?
Give me the growth scenario.
Think of the surprise party. I hide the truth for a week. Why? To maximize your joy at the reveal? I am temporarily suspending your reality to give you a better one. Your agency is returned to you, intact and enhanced.
And the harm scenario.
I hide my gambling debt. I act like everything is normal. I am not protecting a future reveal. I am protecting myself from the consequences of my actions. I am letting you build a life on a foundation that I know is rotten.
So I'm stealing your agency to save my own skin.
That's the key distinction. Is the secret serving the relationship, or is it serving the secret keeper? Secrecy becomes harmful when it is used to distort another person's ability to perceive, choose, or participate in reality. It's about dignity. Scaffolding respects your dignity. It assumes you will one day understand. Weaponry disrespects your dignity. It assumes you are a pawn to be moved around.
So let's bring this down to an everyday level. We talked earlier about weaponized ambiguity, but there's a healthy version of that too, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. The sources call it discrete coordination.
Is this the dinner party example?
Yes, you're at a dinner party, it's dragging on. You look at your partner and you say, honey, it's getting a bit late, isn't it?
Okay, so literally, I'm just stating a fact about the time. It is 9:45 p.m.
Right. To the host of the party, the literal meaning is, we should probably go to sleep soon.
Yeah.
But to your partner, if they have that able-like fluency, the message is something else entirely.
It's save me, I'm exhausted. Activate the exit strategy immediately.
Exactly. You are communicating two different realities to two different audiences using the same sentence. And that is healthy. That is a team functioning at a high level.
That's social scaffolding.
But notice what it requires. It requires your partner to be fluent in your code.
Right. If they were totally literal, if they were a cane, they'd just look at their watch and say, it's only 9:45, we have plenty of time. Grab another drink.
And you would be stranded. You'd be stuck in that conversation for another hour.
And that's the betrayal of intimacy in a nutshell, isn't it? It's when you thought you had that code, you thought you were on the same wavelength, and then suddenly you realize you're shouting across a canyon.
Yes. When the person who is supposed to be your insider treats you like an outsider, the pain isn't just emotional, it's structural. It breaks the world.
We've covered a massive amount of ground here. From the biological pain of exclusion to the mechanics of gaslighting, all the way to ancient literary theory.
It's a journey from seeing secrecy as just lying to seeing it as a dimension of human interaction. It's a tool. It can be a knife, or it can be a scalpel. It can wound, or it can heal.
And the responsibility is on us to know which one we're holding, and also to know which one is being used on us.
And perhaps even more importantly, to cultivate the ability to see the difference, to keep Abel alive.
I want to leave the listener with a thought from the very end of the research stack that really stuck with me. We talked about Abel as a symbol for our capacity to hear meaning, to hear the whisper behind the shout.
Yes.
The sources imply that this isn't just a talent we're born with, it's something we can lose. In a world of total information overload where everything is 4K, high definition, explicit, literal data, are we forgetting how to read the layers?
That is the danger. If we become so obsessed with facts and receipts and data, we might act like Cain. We might kill our ability to sense the spirit of things.
We stop listening to the structure and only listen to the noise.
And if we do that, we're just strangers shouting literal truths at each other, missing the real conversation entirely, a silence that no amount of talking can fix.
That's something to think about the next time you hold back a comment, or the next time you feel like you're missing the joke. Thanks for diving deep with us.
Always a pleasure.